That opening shot of The Sound of Music is really the quintessential picture postcard shot, really. And yet we had such terrible difficulties shooting that scene.
The Sound of Music is a timeless classic and one of the greatest musicals ever made. But did you catch the bloopers that slipped through? Let's take a closer look and uncover some surprising mistakes that made it into the final cut of this beloved film. Even perfection has its quirks. Number 20. Maria had no prior experience playing the guitar. Maria had no prior experience playing the guitar. Julie Andrews, known for her role as Maria in The Sound of Music, had no experience playing the guitar before they started filming. To get ready for her part where she sings and plays the guitar, she needed to learn the basics. However, she found it really challenging to play the guitar and sing at the same time. It was a lot to handle, especially with the cameras rolling. To ease her nerves before filming some of the guitar scenes, she sometimes took a little sip of Austrian schnapps, a strong alcoholic drink, to help her relax and feel more at ease. Christopher Plummer, who portrayed Captain Von Trapp, also took lessons for guitar and singing to prepare for his character. But even though he practiced, the final version of the movie didn't feature his actual singing or guitar playing. Instead, they brought in a professional singer and guitarist to re-record those parts, and their voices were used in the film instead. Number 19. Kim Carruth could not swim in real life. In the part where the Von Trapp family is in a rowboat and it tips over, something really scary. Kim Carruth could not swim in real life happens in real life. Kim Carruth, the little girl who played Gretel, the youngest child, didn't know how to swim. When the boat turned over, everyone fell into the water. Julie Andrews, who played Maria, was supposed to grab Gretel and help her out of the water safely. But when the boat flipped, Julie lost her balance and fell backward, so she couldn't get to Gretel in time. Because of this, Kim Carruth ended up swallowing a lot of water. She got sick from it and ended up throwing up, unfortunately, right on Heather Menzies, the actress who played Louisa, one of the older girls. Thankfully, Kim was okay afterward, but it was a really scary moment during filming. Christopher Plummer didn't enjoy working on the film. Number 18. Christopher Plummer didn't enjoy working on the film. Christopher Plummer, the actor who played Captain Von Trapp, didn't really enjoy working on The Sound of Music. He thought the movie was too sweet or sentimental for his taste. He even gave it funny nicknames like, "That Movie," S&M, or "The Sound of Mucus," as a joke instead of The Sound of Music. While filming, he wasn't very happy, so he spent a lot of time eating and drinking to cope with how he felt. Because of that, he gained quite a bit of weight during the shoot. In fact, he gained so much that the people in charge of costumes had to change and resize his clothes to fit his larger body. Even though he gave the movie a hard time back then, he later admitted he respected how much people loved it. Here's the next unexpected slip-up that made it into the movie. The original Von Trapp family house was not used. Number 17. The original Von Trapp family house was not used in the film. The actual house where the Von Trapp family lived is still around, but it's not the one you see in the movie. In the film, the large house is actually a combination of two separate buildings. One was used to show the front, while another was used for the back. The interior scenes weren't filmed in a real house, they were shot on special sets created in Hollywood. The well-known gazebo where the song 16 Going on 17 was filmed wasn't real either. It was constructed just for the film. Later on, it was relocated twice and now it's at Hellbrunn Palace in Salzburg, Austria, where fans can go see it. The courtyard of Nonnberg Abbey, where Maria lived as a nun, in the movie wasn't filmed at the actual abbey either. A designer named Boris Levin made a replica that looked so authentic, even down to the specific stones and windows. Many people still think those scenes were shot at the real location. Lastly, the part where the Von Trapp family hides in a graveyard from the Nazis wasn't filmed in Austria at all. That whole scene was recorded on a studio set built on the Fox movie lot in Hollywood, even though some tour guides in Salzburg still claim it was filmed there. Number 16. The song Edelweiss was not an Australian classic. The song Edelweiss was not an Australian classic. The song Edelweiss may seem like a classic Austrian folk tune or even like the national anthem of Austria, but it isn't. It was actually composed in the United States for the Broadway musical The Sound of Music. All the music in the show that has an Austrian feel was created by the renowned songwriting duo Rodgers and Hammerstein. Edelweiss was the final song they collaborated on. Unfortunately, Oscar Hammerstein died in 1960, just 9 months after The Sound of Music premiered on stage. Even though it's not an authentic Austrian song, Edelweiss became so well known that many people worldwide thought it was part of Austria's heritage or culture. Maria signed out her rights to the film. Number 15. Maria signed out her rights to the film. In 1956, A German film producer wanted to create a movie based on Maria von Trapp's book. He offered her $10,000 to purchase the rights to her story. Maria inquired if she could also receive a portion of the profits from the film. However, the producer informed her that German law prohibited movie companies from paying royalties, additional earnings from sales, to individuals who were not German citizens. At that time, Maria had already become an American citizen. Maria trusted him and signed the contract, unknowingly relinquishing all the film rights to her life story. A few weeks later, the producer returned and offered her $9,000 in cash if she would agree immediately. This was a significant sum for the Von Trapp family. They had never earned that much from singing, so she accepted the offer and took the deal. Later on, Maria discovered that the producer had deceived her. There was no such law in Germany. He had tricked her and gained complete control of her story for a minimal amount of money. Even though Maria and her family were wronged, the creators of The Sound of Music, Rodgers and Hammerstein, still provided the Von Trapps with a small share of the earnings from the play and film. They were not obligated to do so, but they chose to as a kind gesture. Nevertheless, it was only a fraction of what the Von Trapps could have made if they had retained the rights. However, Maria didn't hold any resentment. She later expressed that the joy and hope the movie and play brought to people around the globe were worth far more than money. Maria was hired to teach only one child. Number 14. Maria was hired to teach only one child. Maria von Trapp didn't begin her journey as a governess for all 7 kids, as depicted in the movie. In reality, she was brought on board in 1926 to tutor just one child. George von Trapp, a retired naval captain, had a daughter, also named Maria, who fell seriously ill with scarlet fever. This was the same disease that had tragically claimed his wife's life 4 years prior. His daughter was unable to walk the long distance, around 4 miles, to school anymore. Therefore, George went to Nonnberg Abbey in Salzburg to request someone to come and teach her at home. At the abbey, they selected a 21-year-old woman named Maria Augusta Kuchera. She had attended a teacher's college in Vienna and was also residing at the abbey due to her own health problems. The intention was for her to tutor the girl for just 10 months before she officially became a nun. However, as we know, things didn't unfold as expected. Maria ended up staying much longer. Casting Julie Andrews as Maria. Number 13. Casting Julie Andrews as Maria. When screenwriter Ernest Lehman started working on The Sound of Music, he had only one actress in mind for the lead role of Maria: Julie Andrews. He thought she was the perfect fit for the part. But when director Robert Wise came on board, he initially had different ideas. His top picks were Grace Kelly, who had become the Princess of Monaco and had stopped acting, and Shirley Jones, a well-known actress famous for her roles in musicals. However, everything changed when Robert Wise saw some early footage of Mary Poppins, a film that Julie Andrews had worked on but hadn't been released yet. He was so taken by her charm, voice, and presence on screen that he quickly agreed with Lehman that Julie Andrews was indeed the right choice for Maria. Although Andrews was interested in the role, she felt a bit hesitant at first. She didn't want the movie to come off as too sweet or unrealistic like the stage version sometimes did. But both Lehman and Wise shared her concerns. They wanted to create a story that felt more real and sincere. This made Andrews feel more at ease, and she decided to accept the role. She signed a contract with 20th Century Fox to star in the film for $225,000, a significant amount of money back then. Ultimately, casting Julie Andrews proved to be a fantastic choice. Her portrayal of Maria became one of the most cherished performances in film history and played a huge role in making The Sound of Music the classic it is today. Von Trapp was a loving father. Number 12. Von Trapp was a loving father. In reality, Captain George Von Trapp was a lot more affectionate and loving than the way he was depicted in the film The Sound of Music. One of the things that upset the real Von Trapp children was how their dad was shown as cold, strict, and distant. It's true that he used a whistle to call his kids, and each child had a unique sound so they would recognize when he was calling them. He also dressed them in matching sailor outfits. However, unlike in the movie, he didn't make them march around the house or stand in straight lines like soldiers. Actually, George Von Trapp was a kind and caring father, even though he sometimes appeared a bit overwhelmed by all his duties. According to author Tom Santopietro, it was really Maria, the stepmother, who needed to learn how to express her emotions. She had been raised in a very strict and cold environment herself, so it took her a while to show love and warmth easily. Johannes Von Trapp, the youngest child, once shared with the BBC that his father was a very charming man, generous, open, and not the strict military-style parent shown in the movie. He also mentioned that his mother, Maria, tried to change how the captain was portrayed in the film so that he resembled his true self more, but sadly she couldn't persuade the filmmakers. It doesn't end there. Look what happened next. Father Nur was replaced. Number 11. Father Wozner was replaced in the movie. One significant figure in the actual Von Trapp family's tale was omitted from the Sound of Music film. During the Great Depression in the 1930s, the Von Trapps lost a large portion of their wealth when their bank collapsed. To make ends meet, they began renting out rooms in their spacious home. One of the tenants was a Catholic priest named Father Franz Wozner. After listening to the family sing, Father Wozner recognized their genuine musical ability. He took on the role of their musical director and collaborated with them to enhance their singing skills. Maria von Trapp once remarked that he slowly but surely molded them into a real musical group. Because of his guidance, the family transitioned into professional singers.